All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're tracing the extraordinary rise, the legendary peak, and yeah, the surprisingly peaceful retirement of one of modern football's most joyous players, Eden Hazard. Over a 16-year career, he gave us some of the most purely magical moments on a pitch. But it's a fascinating paradox, really, isn't it? How does one of the most naturally gifted, truly unplayable talents of a generation just quietly walk away from the game at only 32 years old? Well, let's break down the history and the data to figure out exactly how this unique career unfolded, step by step. Here's the game plan for today. We're going to be looking at 1. The boy wonder of Lille. 2. Chelsea's number 10 legend. 3. Belgium's golden generation captain. 4. The Real Madrid struggles. And finally, 5. Retirement and legacy. So we'll follow his chronological journey, seeing how he conquered France, England, and the world stage before running into some pretty harsh realities in Spain.
Let's get right into Chapter 1, The Boy Wonder of Lille.
Hazard's rise? Absolutely meteoric. He joins the Lille Academy back in 2005 at just 14 years old, and man, it took almost zero time for that raw talent to shine. By 16, he is already making his professional debut, and the hardware just starts piling up fast. In 2009, he becomes the very first non-French player to win the Ligue 1 Young Player of the Year. Fast forward to 2011, and he's casually leading Lille to a historic league and cup double while grabbing Player of the Year honors. He had this incredibly unique physiology, a naturally low center of gravity mixed with these lightning-fast twitch muscles. Literally, the guy could change direction at a full sprint without ever losing balance. It made him a total nightmare for taller, rigid defenders. He completely revolutionized Lille's attack, pulling off an insane 654 dribbles over his 5 seasons there, just effortlessly dodging tackles that would have snapped the ankles of lesser players.
But, his time at Lille also introduced us to his, let's call it, carefree character. Intense coaches definitely questioned his laid-back training habits sometimes, but there's this legendary story from his farewell match that just perfectly sums up his effortless genius. His teammate, Rio Mavuba, talked about the morning after Hazard's farewell party. He said, "The guy had not even slept. He drank for the entire night, and he put away a hat trick in 30 minutes. We all looked at each other, we told ourselves, this guy was the real deal." And that was Hazard, a guy who played the game purely on his own terms, driven way more by intuition and joy than by any sort of strict robotic discipline.
Moving right along to Chapter 2, Chelsea's number 10 legend. This is where he took all that raw potential and truly quantified it.
110. That's a massive number. That's his goal tally for Chelsea across 352 appearances. It officially cemented his status as the club's 9th all-time leading goalscorer. Think about that. His name sits right alongside absolute icons of the modern game, guys like Frank Lampard and Didier Drogba. He transformed from being this flashy, promising winger in France into an incredibly reliable, cold-blooded finisher in arguably the most physically demanding league in the world.
But listen, he wasn't just a highlight reel dribbler. He was an absolute force of nature who basically carried Chelsea's attacking system for the better part of a decade. He generated a staggering 595 chances, literally the most in the Premier League during his entire era there. And how did he pull that off? Well, it was his signature move. Receive the ball out wide on the left, aggressively drive inside, and just magnetize 2, sometimes 3 defenders right to him. By dragging the opposition completely out of shape, he created these huge pockets of space for his teammates, slipping the final pass through right before getting crunched. And that individual gravity, it translated to major silverware. 2 Premier League titles, 2 Europa League wins, an FA Cup, and he was crowned the PFA Players Player of the Year in 2015. When Chelsea was stuck and needed a spark, Hazard was always the catalyst.
His peers fully saw the genius behind all that flair too. Take a look at what his former teammate Cesc Fabregas had to say. He has this strong body with low gravity. He is very quick on the turn. I also think he is very underrated with his final ball. There is a purpose to everything Eden does, and Fabregas really hits the nail on the head there with the word purpose. Hazard wasn't out there spamming stepovers just to showboat for the cameras. Every single drop of the shoulder, every feint, every sudden stop, it was highly efficient. It was totally calculated to break down a defensive line and create a goal. Basically, he was this brutally effective attacking machine just operating entirely behind a smile.
Okay, let's shift gears from club dominance to international pride. Chapter 3, Belgium's Golden Generation Captain.
After getting his first senior cap at just 17, he naturally grew into the undisputed leader of Belgium's famous Golden Generation. He racked up 126 caps, along with 36 assists and 33 goals. He was consistently producing elite numbers for his country, carrying the immense, heavy expectations of a nation that was totally desperate to finally win a major trophy with the most talented squad they'd ever assembled.
And it all really came to a head at the 2018 World Cup in Russia. He captained Belgium to a historic third-place finish, their best ever, by the way, and he won the silver ball as the tournament's second-best player. Honestly, if you watched that tournament, you know he was practically unplayable. Just think back to that masterclass against Brazil in the quarterfinals. Time after time, he effortlessly carried the ball out of defense, absorbed the fouls, spun away from heavy pressure, and single-handedly neutralized the entire Brazilian midfield. Now, even though they fell just short of the ultimate trophy, Hazard still looks back on that 2018 World Cup with pure happiness. He's incredibly proud of the beautiful, free-flowing football his team played, proving to the whole world that they were arguably the most entertaining side out there.
Which brings us to a really tough pivot. Chapter 4, the Real Madrid struggles.
It's the ultimate what-if question that has baffled football fans for years. After absolutely dominating England for 7 brutal years, what exactly went wrong for Eden Hazard in Madrid? He finally got his dream transfer, right? A massive deal worth up to 150 million euros, but inheriting Cristiano Ronaldo's iconic number 7 shirt brought this totally incomprehensible level of pressure. And sadly, his time in Spain yielded just 7 goals and 12 assists during a spell that was completely ravaged by injuries. So why the sudden, massive drop-off?
While the data actually gives us a big clue right off the bat, it was a major tactical hurdle. During his Chelsea era, operating as the pure playmaker, he averaged 75.7 touches per 90 minutes. Basically, the whole offense ran right through him. But then, look at the Real Madrid era. That number drops way down to 65.6 touches per 90 minutes. You see, Hazard was a rhythm player. He needed the ball constantly at his feet to feel the flow, to dictate the tempo of the game. Over in Madrid, he wasn't the sun the whole team orbited around anymore. He had to share the attacking space with established megastars like Karim Benzema, who naturally drifted into the exact same zones. That tactical restraint heavily limited his time on the ball, effectively cutting off the main fuel source he needed to take over a game.
And honestly, it wasn't just one tactical tweak. It was basically a perfect storm. Losing that central playmaker status meant he got pushed out to a more traditional, rigid left-winger role. And against those highly compact, low-block Spanish defenses, that completely isolated him. Then you combine those tactical headaches with compounding, really severe ankle injuries, we're talking surgeries and implanted metal plates, and you instantly lose that explosive burst that made him unstoppable in the first place. Plus there's the human element, which we can't ignore. The psychological toll of going from the beloved, undisputed main man in London to a highly scrutinized player in Madrid, constantly hounded by the press over his weight and fitness, it was immense. For a guy whose entire game was built on joy and physical freedom, getting back to that Chelsea form just became an insurmountable mountain. And that brings us to our final chapter, retirement and legacy. Hazard bravely decided to hang up his boots at just 32 in late 2023. And his outlook on it, man, it's just so incredibly grounded. This quote perfectly sums up a guy who is completely at peace. He told reporters, "I'm more of a taxi driver than a football player now, but it's okay. Just as a good player and a good, funny guy. I don't need anything more than that." There's absolutely zero bitterness there, no lingering anger about the Madrid years. He happily traded the suffocating pressure of the Bernabeu for the quiet, fulfilling life of being a dad, taking his kids to school, hanging with his family, kicking back with a good bottle of wine. It's actually a wonderfully gentle ending for a guy who gave us so much noise and excitement on the pitch.
So I'm going to leave you with this to ponder. When we really look back at the data, the 110 goals at Chelsea, leading Belgium's golden generation, and all those truly dazzling highlights, how will history ultimately remember the unique, joyful legacy of Eden Hazard? Whether you remember him for the unstoppable magic at Stamford Bridge, the frustrating struggles in Madrid, or just that infectious smile and pure love for the sport, his impact on the beautiful game, it's absolutely undeniable. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and remember, keep asking the big questions.